I'm going to fall asleep. Is it so late or early?
So if you were in Texas, was listening to you talk about the animals that we've seen in the blue water and has a question about recovering the vehicles. Do jellyfish ever come up with the vehicles and sting you when you are recovering samples or working on the vehicles?
Gross things come up on the vehicle all the time.
Yeah, pretty much. What's even worse is they kind of dry out on the vehicle, and you don't know so it's not this like sticky jelly thing that you know to not get into. So when we're working on the vehicle, you get it on the inside of your forearms, and you're wondering why your forearms are on fire.
Oh. Yeah, I feel like siphonophores, which I think are a cnidarian, so they're stingy, do get like wrapped around stuff all the time. You'll get like long stringy things, and we'll just put nitrile gloves on to get them off.
Wow, so even after they are dead, they can still, their poison can still transfer onto you?
Yeah, I'm not sure what kind there are, but occasionally, I don't know if it's the man-o-wars or what, but
yeah, I don't know what dead means for a nematocyst.
Yeah.
The stinging cells seem to be able to operate even without the all the rest of the critter.
Maybe it's because it's like half dried on the vehicle, but we're often working with water or something, and or parts of the vehicle are still wet or whatever. But you don't realize it at the time sometimes, but later on, yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds...
It's not horribly painful. It's kind of like a sunburn kind of sting.
It's an unexpected hazard of the job there. May be
not as bad as the stinky part.
Yeah, they're stinky. Like if fish get, a fish might get caught in the vehicle or something in a place you can't see.
Especially the krill or the anchovies.
Krill, yeah. No, poorly cut zip ties actually are far more hazardous.
Yeah, got scars from those.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that might be something that would surprise someone who's never been on Nautilus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have a mantra, and we have some special flesh cutting side cutters. So if you cut a tie wrap with a regular side cutter that doesn't cut it flush, it leaves it quite sharp. And we often have to reach into the vehicle to work on stuff. And we've actually had to have crew go to the medic and get stitched up. They'll lay you right open, especially on the tender skin on the inside of your forearms where you're leaning in to work on something and you're trying to pick up something heavy, an instrument out of the vehicle or something, and you scrape across one of those, it'll...
Oh yeah, that would surprise you about working out here. ROV pilots are very delicate.
So it's kind of hard to imagine the size and scale of Herc when you're just watching it on the screen, but if you go to the website nautiluslive.org and click on Science and Tech, you can get some great tours of all of the vehicles and other technologies that we're using here. And Herc is quite large and reaching in there and cleaning and adjusting.
There's a really cool video that Jonathan has posted lately where Herc spins apart and all the 7,300 whatever
400.
parts, 7,400 parts fly apart.
It is a really great video.
Yeah, I have. Is it on the website? Because I saw it on Instagram, but I haven't been able to track it down independently yet.
I'm looking for it on the website right now.
It's amazing.
We actually, Herc looked a lot like that before this cruise. We had it in the shop and had all the buoyancy off of it, and there was parts like everywhere in the shop. I was looking at it and I'm like, that looks a lot like that.
How do you keep track of which bolt goes where? I mean, do you have baggies and label them, or?
Yeah, what we try and do is put them back in the bolt holes of whatever came off.
Right.
So that saves a huge amount of time putting something back together, especially when multiple people are working on something.
Yep.
And I did that to Gabby here on the mobilization. She was looking for the bolts to attach the tether between Herc and Argus, and usually we put them back in the
Yeah.
bend restrictors, but
You had them in your pocket.
they
But they are
they all
somewhat.
went into a bucket because they were really we use lubrication on the bolts, so because it's stainless steel against aluminum or whatever, and they'll gall, so they get quite dirty and mucked up. So you have to spend some time cleaning all the grease off and making the bolt look like brand new again. So they were all dumped in a bucket unceremoniously in a 5-gallon bucket with all these greasy bolts.
It was awful. I was so angry.
It took her probably 3 times as long to put the tether on as it should have, because someone was in a hurry taking stuff apart.
They really did need to be replaced, though. Like, you can't use the same, especially like a bolt that's going to take like the force of the vehicle.
Yeah.
It's going to get those bolts actually
They
take
get
a lot of
stretched.
force, and they stretch, and then they're not the same anymore. Like you've changed the metal at that point, and it's time to replace it. So that was fine.
That was me rationalizing.
Yeah.
These are no good. They need to be
Yeah.
replaced.
No, that was a fine rationale. I bought that.
We pull really hard on those bolts, when,
Mhm.
especially we had some weather recoveries on the last job. It was quite violent when Hercules is in the water and Argus is on deck.
So I'm finding that great 3D exploding views of Herc and Argus on the YouTube channel. It's called Beyond the Wow, Complex Robots Need Simple Checklists.
Oh, cool.
So if viewers want to go to the EV Nautilus YouTube channel and search for that video, it's called Beyond the Wow, they can see what we're talking about, these great animations that show every part of the ROVs. We use that a lot in our ship to shores with students. They really love seeing that.
And we do that in real life, at least. We did it this off season.
Yeah, it seems slightly more complicated than like an IKEA furniture kit, where you have to keep all the bolts in the separate baggies there as well. But it's a little bit more complex. Thanks for that question.
We have a refrigerator size array of the bolts in the shop, constantly reordering them.
If you're just joining us on this dive, we are ascending from the ocean floor. We're at a depth of about 1,160 meters and rising.
Roger that.
Now, those Beyond the Wow videos are linked in the website under gallery. And there are several of them highlighting the technological systems that make.
Yeah, I don't think so. But we don't want to be like, I don't know, we're sort of in a delicate place, right? Like,
Yeah.
we want to be recovering probably quarter 2.
Yeah, quarter 2 to 4, but definitely not early because we're just going to be limited with manpower at this time for the deck. Time to surface will be...
It needs to be 90 minutes, I
Yeah.
guess, or 80 minutes. Yeah, I'll just keep dialing it back until I get the right number of minutes, and then you can match me, I guess. It just takes, it's going to take a while to get it,
Right.
Yeah.
this to settle out.
So you heard them, folks. We have another 80 or 90 minutes here. Keep those questions coming. We got a question. How early do you people go exploring? Well,
So early.
we are your 12 to 4 shift, so we are midnight to 4 a.m. and noon to 4 p.m. Anytime the ROVs are diving, we run 3 watches of 4 hours each. So dare I say the best watch would be the 12 to 4. And then we are relieved by our friends on the 4 to 8 watch. And then we've got our 8 to 12s, and then we do it all again. So we start whenever the dive plan says go, day or night. the ROVs go in the water, and we just do it.
24/7.
Yeah.
Us.
Let's go. This most recent dive was 12 hours, but yesterday we did a 24-hour dive, so all the watches cycled
That's
through.
too slow. I'm gonna.
It's not updating
What's not updating?
the wind speed there. I guess I'll have to go old school and use the display.
So yeah, you're way.
Your depth isn't updating either.
Yeah, Graphonis. My Graphonis bar for how many years is working.
Yeah, mine looks like it's working.
Refreshing. I was going, why is that number not changing? What do I need to do? Speed up?
No, you need to slow
You're
down.
way above me.
Yep.
I need to speed up.
Yeah, you need to speed up. I'm getting my directions of travel mixed up here. I've slowed quite a bit down, but I'm going to try and speed up again because I am going too slow.
It's a delicate dance. Okay, I'm going to go back to 20 for a while.
So is there a benefit to ascending slowly versus pausing at a depth near the surface? I guess cooler water is better.
Yeah. It's not as, so it doesn't work the system as hard to have it at 100% coming up. Motor's not so hot. And more importantly, when Mark looks at the depth, when he gets up and sees it where it should be, that's less wrath from the bear at 4 a.m.
So when do we sleep? This is a question. when do we sleep? If we work these 12 to 4s, AM and PM, and we have all these other duties, when are y'all sleeping?
It's a work in progress.
There's an old saying, we sleep when we hit the beach.
Thus the term Blur's Day.
One of our favorite things to do as a Nautilus crew is just break the scientists. We've had them like just delirious. They haven't slept in 2 weeks.
This does, I feel like that happens a lot to our science staff. Like, because every time the vehicle hits the deck, they have to process samples, and they just have to process samples until the samples are done. And then we go back in as soon as we're on the next dive site, and they get a few hours of sleep while we're in the water, and then they have to process samples until the samples are done.
Yeah, it's can be pretty brutal.
ROV gets some sleep just when we're off watch, which is nice, as long as the vehicle's in working order.
I find the scientists also most likely to be watching in the lounge when they're off watch.
Yeah,
not
totally.
sleeping. So that doesn't help, but it's understandable.
I can't.
It's tough to turn away sometimes.
I even
Yes, FOMO.
took the page off.
I've been sleeping. The short answer is whenever I get the chance. Whenever there's not a live ship-to-shore interaction with a school, or I'm not on watch, or there are not whales around the ship, that is when I sleep.
I try to do a big sleep in the morning after we get off at 4 a.m. and I sleep through breakfast usually. And
Yeah, I think that's the move. I finally did that yesterday, and I got like 5 hours. So it's the longest I've slept for a long time. Yeah, you got to skip breakfast, I think, on this ship.
yeah,
Oh.
On this shift.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've been skipping dinner. I've been going
Oh,
to
you've been
sleep right after the 4 p.m., sleeping through
Oh.
dinner, and then getting my big sleep then.
how are you feeling?
I feel pretty good, yeah.
Nice.
I mean,
I'm
just the way
yeah.
the time zones are working, most of our live ship-to-shores are right after our watch. So like right after we get off watch today,
Of course,
we begin.
you've got the ship to shore.
Yeah, we have our ship-to-shores, so sleeping during the day kind of isn't an option
Yep.
for the communication folks. So I've been skipping dinner and eating a snack from the snack kitchen, and yeah, I think it's going well. Plus, I'm awake during the daylight hours when we have exciting sightings off the deck here.
I'm on that same schedule, but I'm purely motivated because breakfast is my favorite meal and I will not miss it.
Wow.
What is it, the oatmeal?
I do eat the oatmeal a lot.
Yeah.
Every other day when it's available.
Yeah. Hey, it is fuel. It's fuel for the power. It's for the fire. That oatmeal. I've been eating that too.
A lot of good fruit that you can throw in there.
Yeah. Oh, we got a little
Had a quick
something on Argus.
glimpse of a.
Probably the
You're not talking about the camera, are you, Gabby?
mezzo. Hit stop on the mezzo before you turn it off. Otherwise, it'll make it mad.
So yeah, we do the big sleep. I do the big sleep in the morning, and then
Yeah.
a nap in the
I think I'm going to try that too. Yeah, you definitely have to skip a meal. You just got to decide which your body is going to let you fall to sleep the best, right? That's what I have. My mind is running, so I can't get to sleep or stay asleep. So I was just getting like 45-minute little chunks. But yesterday I finally slept through breakfast and got 5 hours. It was glorious.
Some of us can catch up when we're transiting or mapping, but the navigators
I think yeah.
are always working. When they're not up here in the control van for the ROV dives, they are mapping away.
I think, so if we think about the deck crew, it's going to be Aaron and the ROV pilots coming on. How they probably wake up 40 minutes before. Like they right now, they're going to wake up for their watch, but do we need to wake them up earlier? And if we can avoid that, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We're at a depth of just about 1,000 meters here. Ascending for recovery. We're aiming for 4 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time.
Yeah, we plan recoveries and launches as much as we can for the watch change time so that we've got enough people on hand to deal with the vehicles.
Thanks for your questions to our audience members at home, our honorary members of the Late Night Tectonic Talkers Watch.
Jellyfish.
Ooh. Seems like every time I look at the wire cam, something is just leaving the view that looks interesting.
Yeah, the wire cam seemed to be more active when we were down to when Herc was down, so now there's nothing on that wire cam.
All right, so here's a great question. Is this your day job? Is this your real job? Do you get paid to go to sea and do this amazing work, or do you have a day job? Great question. Thanks for that. Who wants to start us off?
I can start. No, this is not my day job. I do get paid to go to sea, but my day job is actually working for the Wisconsin State Geological Survey.
And tell us a little bit about what you do there.
I'm working on several different projects at once. My favorite ones are bedrock mapping. So I do 1 to 24,000 scale bedrock mapping in Wisconsin. And I also do data quality for our PXRF, which is the X-ray fluorescence instrument.
So how does a bedrock mapping geologist from Wisconsin end up hundreds of miles west of Hawaii exploring the deep ocean?
I was teaching oceanography at UW-Milwaukee in 2018 and learned about Nautilus then because I had a ship-to-shore interaction with my class and figured out that they did internships and applied.
Nice.
So how did you arrange that interaction that you just came across the website or the?
I can't remember if I was just searching for class material or if I was told about it.
That was a fateful interaction.
Absolutely. Score 1 for the science communication team, getting you on board. If you are interested in a ship-to-shore interaction, that is available on our website, nautiluslive.org. If you click on the education tab, there is a form to fill out to get a live Q&A session from the ship with your students or other community groups. We do have some spots available for this cruise and also the cruise coming up, so it's not too late to request your live ship-to-shore interaction for this cruise, and maybe you'll get hooked and someday be here as part of the SPL team. Anybody else want to chime in? Is this your day job, or do you have another job?
How are we defining day job?
Well, I think maybe like, is this your full-time job, or?
I would say this is my full-time job. I work for this vessel and other vessels, usually about 6 to 9 months out of the year in the capacity of a marine tech, and then I'll also work as a kind of marine data analyst or scientist and coordinate data management type stuff.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
I'm often traveling, filming wildlife, so you could say this is my day job, but usually I'm on land and I have my hands on the actual cameras. I'm not controlling them remotely. So it's a bit different than most of my work. I wouldn't say it's my day job, but definitely a job and definitely an exciting one.
So I got a question for you, Stephen, about wildlife photography. Was it the word wildlife or the word photography that first drew you into the work you do? Were you interested in wildlife and so you picked up the photography, or started with the photography and moved towards wildlife?
I got my first video camera probably when I was about 12 years old to film. My parents bought it for me to film skateboarding, and I wanted to film my friends skateboarding, and that's how I got into video stuff. And then in high school, I was able to take a film and television class. I was lucky enough that that was an option at my high school. And then when I went to undergrad, I studied film and television because it seemed fun to me. And I was 17 when Planet Earth came out, the original one from the BBC, and I watched the behind the scenes, and I thought, wow, that's a job that you can do. And that was kind of in my mind ever since then. But then it wasn't until 5 years after finishing undergrad that I went back to school and got a master's in wildlife filmmaking in Bristol, England. And that was 2016, and then since then, most of my work has been filming wildlife. So,
awesome.
Skateboarding to cameras.
Just a different kind of wildlife.
To wildlife, yeah.
Thanks so much for that. It's not just the scientists that are joining us here on board. We have experts in so many different fields. So.
Yeah, I like to say, like, you don't have to be a scientist necessarily, or even an engineer. You can kind of come from an art background, which I felt like I did, and end up at sea.
Well, this is definitely not my day job. I work in Washington State, and I work with about 15 different school districts, working with teachers, my job title is STEM coordinator. So I say I teach teachers how to teach STEM, do a lot of teacher trainings and lesson plan support and that kind of work. Also a lot with educational technology, as you can imagine during COVID, that was a very important part of that work. And this is definitely not my day job. This is way beyond anything I've ever done. Longtime Nautilus fan, and I discovered Nautilus through a viral video that went viral a few years ago of the octopus garden, and saw it online and blew my mind. You can look that up on the highlights on YouTube. And when I went to the website and clicked on education, they had some applications open, and they said apply to go to sea, and they didn't have to ask me twice. I filled that application out and interviewed and ended up here. I'm thrilled to be here, and I feel like someone who is a super fan of a TV show and then finally like gets a guest spot and gets to be on their favorite TV show. So not my day job, and super stoked to be here.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. I'm sure that will inspire somebody else who's listening to go apply for an SCF role.
Yeah, most of the science communication fellows are educators. So educators out there, your job is preparing you to go on great adventures like this. Check it out online.
Well, I am a assistant professor at California State University, Long Beach. So this is actually part of my job. I'm a scientist and a professor. So when you're a professor in STEM, you usually have your own lab and you're responsible for conducting research and having students and graduate students. So this is some of the work that I do. So it's very much a part of my day job. I guess I'm fortunate in that. But so I would like to add, I've said this once before on this cruise, that I was 39 years old and I didn't even have a college degree. So I only had a high school diploma when I was 39 years old. And so I went on my educational journey late and got my PhD, and am currently an assistant professor now and one of the scientists on the Nautilus. So it can be done. There's many, many routes, but if you wanted to be a scientist, don't let anybody tell you that it's too late or you don't have what it takes. You just keep on keeping on.
That's so cool.
You're awesome. My right-hand science rock star here in the van. Super inspiring.
So sometimes people say, well, I should have started earlier, but actually, as an adult, you might have a skill set that you didn't have when you were younger, or a frame of mind, or a path, or a history that allows you to be a better student sometimes when you're that returning student, that non-traditional student. So I would say sometimes later in life, you're a better student than you would have been if you just went right out of high school, you know, because you have better management skills, or you know yourself better, you know what you're good at, or just you figured out what you like the most.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Psych. There's a Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
There you go.
Not my day job, but my dream job. I'll tell you that.
Oh.
I
dang, I should have said that.
I retired from my day job. I served 32 years in the Navy, and in retirement, so I was a naval oceanographer for most of my career, and then taught for the final 12 at the Naval Academy as a permanent military professor, an assistant professor in the oceanography department. And got involved with Nautilus in 2013. I started thinking about retirement, ways to carve out part-time work that would free me up to keep coming out here in the summers. So that has worked out. I'm an adjunct faculty at the Anne Arundel Community College in Maryland and helping out with some other teacher education programs through the American Meteorological Society. So teaching teachers about oceanography. And so far it's worked out. Able to come out here for 2 expeditions this fall.
So you just can't retire. So you can't just do just the Nautilus while you're retired. You're not one of those people that can retire.
Well, I do like staying involved in education. Yep.
Yeah.
You sound like the busiest retired person I know.
Yeah, exactly.
What courses are you teaching?
Just a general oceanography course, which is actually, in teaching that, I've picked up a bit more bio than I did when I was teaching mostly physical oceanography courses at the Naval Academy.
I like those entry-level courses, teaching them. You have a chance to influence some people and get them involved in STEM.
Yeah, for some it'll be the only course they take about the ocean. So you can open some eyes.
You're teaching that at JC, Emil?
At where?
Where are you teaching?
Oh, it's a community college that I could walk to from home.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, Anne Arundel Community College near Annapolis, Maryland.
Wow.
I didn't know they had those kind of classes at a junior college.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's they created an earth science major, so it's a course for those students, and it's also just an optional science course for others who need a science course in their major. Then I scoot on over to the Naval Academy in the afternoons to coach the fencing team.
Fencing team.
You just scoot on over?
You've been keeping this from us.
Scoot on over in my Prius. Yeah.
Scoot on over in your Prius.
And they're off to a good start. Happy to have some assistant coaches back there helping out.
So is fencing more about offense or defense?
Oh, you've got to have both in your tool chest. Yeah.
Okay. Do you find that the personality that is more inclined to offense is usually somebody who excels more?
That is somebody who should fence saber.
Okay.
Saber's an aggressive weapon. You know, the first one off the on-guard line has got an advantage there. So, yeah, somebody who's aggressive is a good saber fencer. Somebody who's patient.
Oh, no, that's not me.
Big, slow, and dumb like me is better in epee, and where you could hit anywhere on the body.
Okay.
You often pick off your opponent on their way in.
Oh.
And if you're speedy and a good tactician, then foil could be a good weapon for you.
Okay.
So is it a choose your weapon, or do you have to?
We try to strike a balance. We introduce new fencers to the various weapons and try to match their preferences with the team's need.
Does a saber always fence against a saber?
Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah. You don't mix and match during a bout. That would be interesting.
Did you watch the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
I have not.
Oh, you should watch it. I want to know what you think.
I'll check it out.
Okay. So have you ever been, so when people are fencing, are they also confrontational? Or are they all like, oh, this is nice. Are you having a good time? I'm having a good time. Boom, you're dead.
You mean, does it get heated?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
It does?
Well, now you got to control your temper because, yeah, there are penalties for disrupting a match, say slamming a weapon on the floor or something like, a big demonstration, being rude. Yeah, which is a good aspect of the sport for future naval officers and Marine Corps officers is, keeping a cool head in the heat of battle. Yeah.
So are people talking smack to each other while they're fencing?
No, there's no time for that. It's such a fast sport that, you take the time to come up with something witty to say while you're fencing, and you're going to be nailed.
So it's not like The Princess Bride, where they're having the witty repartee while they're having the actual repartee.
Exactly. Zorro, yeah.
Oh, you're crashing all my illusions about fencing.
Theatrical fencing is a different ball game.
Yeah, I did notice it is really fast.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, you need, it's a difficult spectator sport because it is so fast. So, and the referees at the Olympic level, you know, at large competitions are using instant replay
Because it's that fast.
to help. Yeah.
Is there not
Oh.
electronics that tell when somebody's been hit?
Right. It's all electrical now.
Okay.
You've got like milliseconds difference in.
So do you think if somebody was actually doing battle by a similar weapon in, say, you know, hundreds of years ago, that it would have also been that fast?
I think it's, well, I can't say for sure, but I think it's gotten faster.
Interesting.
So the weapon has gotten smaller and lighter for the sport fencing. Yep, for Olympic fencing.
Well, that sounds like a very fun sport.
Just scoot on over there.
Yeah, just scoot on over there and do some fencing if you're interested. You live near Annapolis, Maryland, you can
during
scoot
retirement.
on over there.
It's a lifelong sport. It's that you keep getting better at the strategic thinking part of it. And,
really?
Reading your opponent. And yeah, so we've got a coach, Kaz Camp is in his 80s and still competing.
Wow.
And so do you think that it's just in your muscle memory that you know what a body position indicates its next move?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And your muscle memory of your reaction gets better and better.
Interesting. Is accuracy the most... so if you said it was somebody's genetic predisposition that would make them more skilled, is it their ability to be accurate or fast?
I think the accuracy improves over time when you repeat an action over and over and you get better and better hand-eye coordination. So, I mean, hand-eye is important, but I think speed would be a more important natural ability.
Like fast twitch muscle.
Yeah. But then having the smarts to vary your speed and change the tempo on your opponent is an advantage.
Yeah, more into the slow sports. Like a good curling match or something like that, you know?
Right.
It's a little bit more my speed.
Somebody asked my sister, what is your favorite athletic event to watch? And she said, does Master Chef count? Yeah.
Now we're getting into the blue water conversation.
Well, we did get another question in here from a viewer.
Right.
Thanks if you're just joining us. We are on the ascent and taking your questions from nautiluslive.org. So we get this one from time to time. What is one thing on your dream list to see during one of these dives? What would be something that would be on your main bucket list that you haven't seen before? Anybody want to field that one?
I have a couple. I mean, of course, I want to see a Dumbo octopus. And I would like to see a giant squid. And I would like to see a whale. I'll just stop there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your bucket list is extensive.
Yes, or maybe the vampire octopus.
Vampire squid?
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that one too.
I think mine changes every day.
Okay.
Like if you ask me one day, what is it? It's one thing, and then the next day it's another thing. But today it's the ocean sunfish.
Oh.
The mola.
Yeah.
Like, come on, those things are so weird. It looks like a cross between like a Frisbee and something that got ran over on the road, and yet it's this majestic, huge fish. I think if we saw that, I probably would not be able to make words anymore.
Have you seen how they swim?
Yeah, they're very, very strange creatures. Their fins look like they're on backwards or something. I don't know what it is about them.
I would like to find a shipwreck in the multi-beam data and then dive on the shipwreck.
Oh.
Oh, that combines both parts of your job.
Wow, that's a good one.
Hope you get to do that someday.
And what would be the ideal shipwreck? Like, are you thinking, oh, I would like to see a Viking shipwreck, or I would like to see, like, do you have a dream of the like artifact you will see?
I would prefer not to see a devastating shipwreck that involves many casualties. It sounds like a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Got to explore one shipwreck off the Pacific Northwest, the SS Coast Trader. It was sunk. It was carrying newsprint to San Francisco, I think it was. And so we were asked to see if it was leaking oil, which it was not. But it was really cool to see the lingcod and groupers piled up on the wreck. Huge anemones taking advantage of it.
Wow.
There's also a lot of lines snagged on it that the pilots had to be really careful of.
Uh-huh. And so when did the ship go down?
It was, I think, World War II, sunk by a Japanese torpedo.
Oh.
Beginning days of it. It was early on.
I didn't know anything was... Where did you say that was?
Just off the Pacific, off the coast of Washington. Yep.
I did not know things were getting sunk off the coast of Washington.
I don't think it was generally known. I think it was generally unknown on purpose.
I wasn't aware the Japanese submarines came so far east.
Me neither.
I knew the German U-boats were off the Atlantic coast and in the Gulf of Mexico, but hadn't thought much about the west coast.
Wow, that is a long travel.
Yeah. Those diesel submarines were small, cramped.
In the Space Flight Museum, or the Flight and Space Museum in DC, the one that's close to the airport, there's two. There's one that's downtown and there's one that's close to the airport.
The Udvar-Hazy Center.
Yeah, that one has, or did have, a plane, a Japanese plane in it that folds up and can go into a submarine. And the plan was for it to, come to the surface, and the plane would take off from the submarine.
I wonder if that had been actually executed.
No, they never got to it, because by the time that they got the plane together and able to do it, the war was coming to an end. But they did fly in a Japanese pilot that was trained on that plane, and he was like 80-some, in his late 80s, and they said he scurried up on the side of it like he'd done it a million times.
Wow.
But it was actually foldable, folds up. If you need a foldable plane, here we go. We got one. You go put that in a submarine. Oh, it all sounds like so comfortable.
If you're interested,
what do we have here? Is that a siphonophore?
Siphonophore.
Looks like it. If you're interested in learning more about that shipwreck off the coast of the Pacific Northwest, you can go to nautiluslive.org and search for From Wreck to Reef, and you can see photos and read an article about that work that Emma was involved in 2016. You can check it out on our website.
Yeah, most of that cruise was focused on the methane seeps in that accretion wedge where the Juan de Fuca plate is subducting under the North American plate. But yeah, that was fun to take a look at that wreck.
Was Kira on that cruise?
No. I have not sailed with her.
Cool beans, I believe is the technical term I'm looking for.
I just like seeing, I look forward to seeing the large deep sea corals and sponges. They're just ancient.
We've seen some good things on this cruise and on this dive. We are ascending to the surface. We got about not quite an hour to go until we recover the vehicles, but if you are watching along, don't worry, we will be hoping to put the vehicles back in the water later today after we turn around the samples and our amazing ROV pit crew does their job.
I remember on a dive, we saw sediment at the bottom of the sea, and it was gouged.
Oh, yeah.
And we guessed that it was from whales that dove really deep and for some reason put their noses into the sand.
Yeah, that's a working hypothesis, that they're doing some sort of feeding behavior.
Yeah, that would be very cool to see. I don't think they'd come anywhere near Hercules doing that, but
you never know.
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think any previously unknown or unfilmed behavior, even if it was speculated, to see something like that would be a huge bucket list item, just because then you know you're participating in something that could change the way that we think about these ecosystems.
Did you see the acrobatic snail earlier on the other watch?
Yes.
Steve, were you on the San Juan Seamount?
Sounds familiar.
Off of Southern California. So that was one where we saw gouges down deep, and the Cuvier's beaked whale is suspected of being able to do that. They can reach nearly 3,000 meters.
It was cool to see those, and even just see as if they were animal tracks, you know. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, I can't figure out what else would have left those gouges of those sizes. Is that siphonophore again?
Looks like it. We're about 570 meters below the surface and rising. We're just completing a dive where we collected both biological samples as well as some rock samples for the scientists here that are on board. We have a few main scientific questions on this cruise that we're on right now for the next couple of weeks. This cruise, Lu'u'aea Ahiki Ika Papaku, is the name of our cruise. You can learn more about our scientific objectives on our website, and also learn more about the name of the cruise at nautiluslive.org. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, we will probably talk more about fencing, and I don't know if that's...
I've got somewhere a nice cartoon of a swordfish fencing against an octopus who's holding all sorts of blades in his tentacles.
I have a T-shirt that has two narwhals with their long teeth crossed, and it says Narwars, and they look like lightsabers. So
nice.
The fencing and marine science puns are strong with this one. Oh, here's a question from a viewer, and I promise that this viewer was not me, Emil, but somebody is saying that these ascents and descents cut dive time from those watches. Do they ever get to make up that lost time? Well, we're still watching, so.
Yeah.
It's part of the pay.
It's part of the plan. So somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, you got to get down there.
And I am curious what sort of things flash across the view in the blue water, the least observed part of the ocean.
Absolutely. Some of the best viral moments have come from this zone, like that spermo we were talking about earlier, or the sharks that they caught just at the end of the dive yesterday.
So the sharks came up to the camera yesterday?
Yeah.
And for how long? A couple seconds?
Oh, just a brief moment.
I'm looking at images of the Cuvier's beaked whale. It's got this permanent smile. Interesting.
Maybe that's my spirit animal on this cruise. Permanent smile.
Diving deep, coming up to the surface for just a few minutes. Then holding their breath for 30. Oh, actually, much longer than 30.
Wow.
Median duration of their foraging dives is about a full hour.
Wow.
One individual made 2 extreme dives of 2 hours, 57 minutes, and 3 hours, 42 minutes.
It seems like it should be impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently one of the watches saw a squid in this blue zone that was pretty dramatic.
I saw that. I was
Yeah.
watching, yeah.
We'll definitely try to get some of these highlights up. Our
I think that's one of the reasons I can't get sleep, because I keep needing to see the video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Steve said, the scientists are always in the lounge looking at the video. We're going to see something we didn't see before.
Yeah, another thing that interferes with sleep.
Yeah.
That's true.
I have fear of missing out like I've never experienced before in all my days, because anything could happen at any moment that is a once-in-a-lifetime sighting or a new species, and it's very hard to shut that down and go get the sleep, but we're making it happen. When we're doing shift changes, we often only have a few minutes to do that, so we don't necessarily get to hear and see everything that the other shift saw. But we do have those highlight videos that will eventually be posted on the YouTube. So check that out. So here's one for the front row, if anybody's on SPL up there. They're wondering, what is our ascent rate and how does it compare to the ascent rate of scuba divers? And since Herc is not a human, why don't we just ascend much faster?
Our ascent rate at the moment is around 15 meters a minute. That's our typical recovery ascent rate for Hercules and Argus. And that's limited by our vertical thrust capability. I think we make about 400 pounds of thrust on each thruster. Is that right, Gabby?
So you're not just being reeled in.
Yeah, we're actually driving the vehicle up. Where a Herc and Argus are in a horizontal fashion, so we're, as we say, tail to tail. So they're basically at the same depth. So we're dragging 30 meters of tether and a couple football floats and a weight through the water sideways. And then there's the drag on the vehicles, especially Herc coming up. And we've got lots of rocks.
If you look at channel 3 right now, you can see our winch spooling up the cable, and it gives you a kind of a sense of how fast things are happening.
Part of that is driven by the blades that are on our thrusters. They're more efficient one way than they are the other way. And they're set up to be more efficient to thrust down. We spend the majority of our time, because we ballast Herc about 30 to 50 pounds positively buoyant, so we can pick up samples, and also so when we're operating at 1 to 2 meters above the seabed, we are not stirring up dust like a helicopter trying to land in a dirt field. So we're not as efficient on recovery as we are on the descent. So when we're zooming around on the seabed, the verticals are always working around 20 or 30%. So they're more effective at thrusting down than up, which gives us a better use of the power to use the other thrusters to move forward, backwards, left and right, and control the heading.
Did Argus camera move itself?
What's that?
Did the Argus cam move itself?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, good catch. Hate it when
Kim
it does
caught
that.
it.
Teamwork makes the dream work, y'all.
So it just tilts up sometimes?
Just, it's time to tilt it up anyways, but it... Oh, you tilted it up. Oh. Yeah, Argus camera did move. ROVs quite often work with divers in the commercial world, and it's very nerve-wracking because we can come up a lot faster than a human can, and we would bend the diver if he got fouled up in the ROV and we inadvertently came up. I think if you were a human coming up at 15 meters a minute, you wouldn't be a happy one.
Or an alive one.
Yeah.
What is the ascent rate for divers usually?
I think about as fast as your air bubbles, isn't that kind of a rule of thumb? So.
I don't know what it is. It sounds scary to me.
That's why I like snorkeling.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I kind of stick to snorkeling. That's a lot of scientists that are out here are also avid divers, but kind of born and raised in the mountains, so
no big divers on this watch? That's kind of surprising.
So another follow-up question to this. Do any biological samples survive the ascent? Are scientists able to keep any of these samples alive for study?
We have, several of us have organisms named after us. I have a sponge somewhere and a colony of corals, and we often have stuff swimming around in the bio box.
Yeah, I've definitely seen fish make it to the surface from like hydrothermal vents thousands of meters deep, but they're not happy about it.
Sure. It's cold up here compared to where they're from, maybe.
Our bio boxes are insulated just for that reason. So, some of the scientists are particular about the bio boxes sealing up, so it keeps the water temperature of the sample. And the samples go from the ROV to a refrigerator. There's an array of refrigerators in the lab in there. I know Mbari has some tech to actually capture samples and keep them pressurized.
Really?
Yeah, I forget the details there, but they need the organism at depth because the changes, coming up doesn't let them do what they need to do.
Neat.
We capture methane hydrates too under pressure. That's
under pressure.
The scariest one I ever saw was we were poking around on University of Washington. I think had some scientist there had this thing we called the fart jar, and it was this big aluminum cylinder